The movie starts with a guy named Jimmy. He gives a USB drive to his wife. Jimmy took this device from a mean mafia gang. Realizing things are getting crazy, Jimmy tells his wife to take their child to her dad's place. Jimmy plans to stay at his old house for a while until things settle down. Then, his wife wakes up their daughter to head to her grandfather's house. Next, we see a mafia boss named Donnie, who's really upset. His USB drive got stolen by Jimmy, and he's not happy about it. Donnie tells his guys to find Jimmy and get that device back. A few hours later, when Jimmy gets close to his old house, Donnie's men are waiting to arrest him. In the morning, Jimmy's wife decides not to go, and only their daughter goes to her grandpa's place. But just as she turns around, she gets stopped by some of Donnie's men. Meanwhile, Jimmy's daughter, Sarah, finally reached her grandpa's place. But when she got there, she couldn't find him at first. After a little searching, she found him, an old man named Matt, sound asleep. Turns out Matt is Sarah's grandpa, but he didn't recognize her. Sarah showed him a photo of her parents, and that's when Matt realized she's his granddaughter. Matt invited Sarah to relax and offered some food and drinks. Sarah wondered why Matt never visited her family. Matt explained that her mom didn't like him ever since her grandma passed away 15 years ago. Sarah then explained that her parents couldn't come because they had some big problems. She found out about it when her mom suddenly told her to go alone, and at the airport, some people were following them. Her mom was supposed to come the next day. The scene shifts to Donnie, who's busy tormenting Sarah's mom. He's relentless in asking where they stashed his USB drive. After a lot of pressure, Sarah's mom finally revealed that their daughter had it, and she's now staying with her grandpa. Upon learning this, Donnie picked two of his top guys to hunt down the USB drive, and they brought Sarah's mom along. Before they left, Donnie warned Sarah if he caught her lying or rebelling, Donnie wouldn't hesitate to harm Jimmy. Not long after, Sarah's mom and Donnie's henchmen showed up at Matt's house. One of Donnie's guys tried to snoop around, but no one was home. Little did they know, Sarah and her grandpa Matt were out having a meal. Sarah took this chance to ask why her mom despised Matt so much. Matt explained that in the past, he rarely visited home, which made her mom think he was an irresponsible dad, even though he was secretly working for the government at the time. After their long chat, Matt and Sarah headed back home. But to their surprise, Matt found Sarah's mother with two strangers. He asked Sarah to stay in the car while he went to greet them politely, thinking they might be tourists. However, one of Donnie's henchmen suddenly pulled out a gun and demanded to know where the USB drive was. Matt had to fight him off. During this scuffle, one of Donnie's right-hand men got killed, while the other managed to escape using Matt's car, not realizing that Sarah was hiding inside. Afterwards, Matt tried to calm down his daughter, Sarah's mom, and wanted to hear the full story. That's when Sarah's mom, known as Ashley, pulled out the USB drive from Sarah's school bag. She explained that her husband used to work for Donnie, a ruthless mafia boss. He wanted to quit, but Donnie threatened their family. One day, Jimmy managed to steal a USB drive containing Donnie's criminal secrets. Meanwhile, Donnie's right-hand man, Bobo, was with Sarah. Bobo inquired if Sarah knew where the missing USB drive was. Sarah thought it might be the one her mom had kept in her school bag, which was now likely secured. Bobo attempted to contact Donnie to report the failed mission and the death of his colleague at the hands of Matt. Donnie, upon hearing this, grew furious and decided to send more of his men to assist Bobo. The scene then shifted to a hotel where Matt and Ashley were staying, trying to figure out their next steps while staying safe. Matt went to the balcony and contacted his CIA colleague, the head of the CIA. Matt explained that his family was being targeted by a mafia boss named Donnie, and he wanted to know more about Donnie's background and how dangerous he was. The CIA chief promised to provide more information later. Back in the hotel room, they were surprised to find Bobo there as well. He reassured Sarah not to worry, as long as she didn't do anything suspicious. About 30 minutes later, 3 of Donnie's men showed up at the hotel to meet Bobo, who was already there. They accidentally bumped into Ashley, who was heading out to grab some coffee. Ashley hurried back inside and alerted everyone that Donnie's men were lurking outside. Matt, quick on his feet, told Ashley to open and close the door quickly. In the nick of time, Matt confronted one of Donnie's men. Next, Matt instructed Ashley to descend using a rope just before Donnie's other men forcefully entered the room by breaking down the door. While lowering Ashley down, they realized that the door had been breached. Matt had to fend off the intruders while holding onto the rope. Eventually, Matt and Ashley made a hasty escape from the hotel. Meanwhile, Bobo, who was on his way to get some drinks, was shocked when he discovered that his comrades had met their demise. He hurriedly inspected the hotel balcony and spotted Matt and Ashley, who were about to make their exit. Bobo immediately got in touch with Donnie to report that the men Donnie had sent to assist him had perished. Learning this news, Donnie grew increasingly irritated and devised a plan to personally intervene with his remaining subordinates. The scene then shifts to Matt and Ashley, paying a visit to one of Matt's old friends, who happened to be a former expert in special forces with expertise in handling mines. Matt asked his friend to access the contents of the USB drive he had in his possession. Upon inspection, they discovered that it contained substantial evidence of Donnie's criminal activities. Following that, Matt attempted to get in touch with the head of the CIA once more to gather information on how dangerous Donnie truly was. The CIA head explained that Donnie's gang was a well-organized criminal syndicate involved in various illegal activities like trading contraband, human trafficking, and dealing in illegal weapons. However, there was more to the story, as Donnie had a highly dangerous superior named Hector Garcia. Hector was caught in a heated discussion with one of her employees, and she instructed the employee to head to the beach. Unfortunately, this employee made a small mistake that led to tears, and Hector, in her anger, threatened to harm the employee's spouse. Not long after, Donnie and his henchmen eventually reached the island to reclaim their USB drive. Before launching their attack, Donnie received a tip regarding the whereabouts of Matt and Ashley. He crossed paths with Bobo and instructed him to eliminate Sarah. Although Bobo had doubts initially, Donnie wasn't interested in hearing any excuses. Donnie, accompanied by his men, then approached the ship where Matt and the others were located. Donnie urged his men to stay vigilant because they weren't dealing with ordinary individuals. They were up against special forces experts skilled in infiltration. The source of this valuable information was none other than Hector, who had collaborated with the CIA's deputy director. Returning to Matt and the group, they were fully aware of the imminent threat outside. To ensure safety, they decided to keep Ashley secured in a room aboard the ship, instructing her not to leave until the coast was clear. Shortly thereafter, Donnie's men attempted to throw grenades onto the ship, but one of the grenades ended up causing a leak on the side. Naturally, Ashley panicked and called out for help, but there was no immediate response. Behind that, Matt and his friends quietly began eliminating Donnie's men one by one. Meanwhile, Bobo was escorting Sarah to a location where she was supposed to meet a grim fate. However, just as things were about to take a dark turn, Sarah bravely fought back and managed to escape. Returning to Matt and his friend, they found themselves cornered by Donnie's men. Thankfully, Sarah appeared on the scene not long after, leading to a fierce shootout between the opposing forces. Unfortunately, during this ordeal, Matt's friend got shot. When Sarah heard her mother scream, she rushed to open the ship's door. Meanwhile, Bobo was closing in, ready to harm Sarah. However, just as Sarah managed to open the door, Ashley fired her weapon, ultimately taking down Bobo. He met his end at Ashley's hands. They all left the ship together, including Matt, who surprisingly was still alive. However, their relief was short-lived as Donnie suddenly appeared and shot Matt. Then he coerced Ashley and Sarah into accompanying him. On the other hand, Matt was still battling Donnie's men. Afterward, he noticed that his daughter and granddaughter were being taken away by Donnie. 30 minutes later, Matt rushed to the hospital to save his injured friend while also contacting the CIA chief. Matt informed them that Donnie had taken his family, but he didn't know where. The CIA chief speculated that Donnie might have taken them to Hector's residence, Donnie's superior. Unbeknownst to them, their conversation was being monitored by the deputy head of the CIA, who was conspiring with Hector's group. Moving back to Matt, he finally arrived at the hospital. He quickly summoned the medics to attend to his injured friend. Later that evening, the scene shifted to Hector's house. Ashley and her daughter were indeed there, and before long, Hector herself entered the room. Hector proposed a deal to Matt. She would release Ashley and Sarah if Matt handed over the USB drive he had. However, if he refused, Hector threatened to harm Ashley and Sarah. In the yard of Hector's house, her men were on high alert, expecting Matt to launch an attack. As anticipated, not far from Hector's residence, Matt was getting ready with his weapons. A few minutes later, a car crashed through the gate of Hector's house, and Matt swiftly took down the guards. Meanwhile, up on the balcony, two of Hector's men were keeping an eye on Matt's movements. Just as Ashley and Sarah stepped outside and called for Matt, one of Hector's men managed to grab Matt. Luckily, Matt was wearing a bulletproof vest and was able to defeat the man. Matt quickly made his way towards the trees to avoid Hector's other arriving men. Meanwhile, Ashley and Sarah, who were attempting to escape from the room, were confronted by Donnie. Donnie forced them to accompany him to face Hector. Back to Matt, who was systematically taking down Hector's men one by one outside. However, he eventually found himself cornered by Donnie. Donnie demanded the USB drive containing all the evidence of their group's crimes, and after handing it over, Matt was instructed to reunite with his daughter and granddaughter. Then, as Hector asked Donnie for the USB drive, Donnie suddenly shot her. Donnie had grown tired of Hector's careless behavior, especially given that the USB drive contained valuable bank passwords worth millions of dollars. Just when Donnie was about to eliminate Matt and his family, he himself was killed. The one responsible for Donnie's demise was the head of the CIA, who had arrived with his deputy. The CIA chairman asked Matt to hand over the original USB drive, knowing that Matt wouldn't do so easily. When he finally obtained the original USB drive, he unexpectedly shot his deputy. It turned out that the CIA chairman had been aware of his deputy's conspiracy with Hector's group all along. Simultaneously, an official, who was the CIA chairman's older brother, appeared and requested a conversation with Matt. The official expressed his gratitude to Matt for dismantling Hector's group and securing the USB drive. He revealed that he was running for mayor and would be competing against the previous mayor. In the USB drive, there's also proof of the mayor's past wrongdoings, so the official only has to expose what's on the USB drive and he'll easily win the election. The official added that as a token of appreciation, he would ensure a good life for Matt and his family. And that's the end of the story. The moral lesson from the story is, don't underestimate the impact of a stolen USB drive in a family feud. It can sway elections.